guitar.org. I'm Wes Carr, and today we're going to talk a little bit about playing with guide fingers. So a lot of people, when they're starting to play, they feel really comfortable with the chord shapes, and if they're playing just the E chord, they can get it without any problem. The problem comes in when they have to go from, say, the E chord to the A chord, or the E chord to the B7 chord, or a G chord to a C chord, or whatever. So a lot of times what really gets a lot of people is the chord changes, not the chord themselves. And understandably, because you don't have a whole lot of time to think, and if it's not really under your fingers or in your mind, it can take a long time to try to basically find the new chord. And so what we want to try to do is we want to try to eliminate that by eliminating the amount of movement we have to do, and to create a more strategic path from one chord to another. So what we do for that is we use a concept called anchor fingers. Just like we talked about, we have anchor fingers on our right hand to keep our pick from moving. We actually have anchor fingers in our left hand when we switch chords. And sometimes we have to move the chords around to make those things happen, and we might have to try to play a different kind of chord than what we would normally play. But what it does is it eases our frustration, and it makes it a little bit more palatable. So let's take a look first at the chords in the key of E. So in the key of E, we have our first, the E, we have our fourth, the A, and we're going to play our fifth, the B7. So, and if you need any help with these chords, if you're not quite sure about them, there is a packet on this website that talks a little bit about basic chords and gives you all of your chord charts. So we're going to start with this E chord. And if you're not quite sure how to play it, it's going to be the open E string, the second fret of the A string, the second fret of the D string, the first fret of the G string, and then our last two strings will be open. Good. Now, in order for us to have a guide finger, we usually want to first try to find any finger within the chord that we're on and the chord that we're going to that's in both chords. Sometimes the trick is that they're not there, or that they're not immediately seen in the chord chart itself, and we have to kind of be a little more clever. So in the key of E, let's say we're going to A. Now the secret is we actually don't need to move our pointer finger. Our pointer finger can stay where it is, and we can move our other two fingers down one string. Then we just need to put our pinky next to our ring finger. And to go back to the E, we're going to lift our pinky and move those two strings back up. So again, and that can be a lot easier than, say, trying to do this. Now you want to make sure that you're focusing on getting one solid, clean, fluid movement. So for example, I see a lot of new players, they'll play their E, and then when they're going to the A, they'll put one finger down at a time. Now that's unrealistic. Obviously you could never perform like that. So why would you try to develop that habit? The habit you want to create is the ability to move all your fingers fluidly without really thinking. Now let's think about, and then we're going from E to the B7. Again, we actually, this one we do have a much more defined guide finger. Our second finger stays where it is the whole time, and it's in both chord charts. So what we want to do is we want to bring our ring finger down one string, and our first finger up one string, and put our pinky down on the E string, second fret. And then to go back to the E, we're going to lift our third finger, drop our first finger, and lift our pinky off. So sometimes we're going to play chords differently depending on what's around it. So the best example of this is probably if we were to move from the D to the A chord. Now remember, when we did E to A, we were playing with our second, third, and fourth. going from D to A, we're going to play with our first, second, and third. The reason being, we can actually use our ring finger here to guide us. We're going to drop it back 1 fret and put the other 2 around it to make the A chord. So it kind of helps to guide. There will be times that chords will be changed a little bit to make the playing easier. Like you saw me do when I was doing the intro. Instead of playing C like this, I played what was called a C add 9. And the reason being because it's much closer to the G shape, and that offers me a lot of options as far as what I can play, what kind of extra things I can add in. So at times you're going to see the C like this, at times you'll see the C like this. And I'd say especially in pop, country, and most forms of folk music, you'll see the C generally played as a C add 9. So go ahead and make your G chord. On the 3rd fret of the E string, put your 2nd finger. 2nd fret of the A string, put your 1st finger. And you're going to have 2 open strings. And then your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And your 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. Now what's nice about going to the C from here, or the 4th of this key, is all we have to do is drop our 2nd finger and 1st finger, 1 string, and that gives us our C. If we lift our 2nd finger and bring our 1st finger down 1 more string, we have a D suspended, which serves to replace the D chord. If we put our 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A string and our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, we have an E minor 7, an E minor 7, and that serves obviously to replace the E minor. So we have G, C, D, E minor, and notice I never had to move either of these 2 fingers. They kind of served to stay down and help me where I was. So go through some of the chords and some of the songs that you're trying to learn and see if there's any easier ways to play it. Oftentimes there's some kind of a guide finger, there's something you can do, some way you can reshape your hand to make it a lot easier. Good luck and happy picking.